Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to episode 48 of the Game Time Gents. Today we're going to cover the AFC South. It's me, Nardi, here with Fish and Zoltowski as usual. If you haven't watched the other episodes of this, we've already done the entire NFC and the AFC West last week. Yes.
Yeah.
So what we're doing basically is we're going to talk about their last season performance. We're going to talk about their mid-season or their off-season acquisitions, whether it be trade, draft, anything crazy, anything notable. And then we're going to do a little tier list at the end of where we think that the players line up against each other in terms of position groups. So first we do have some news to get through. Zach Seiler got paid. You know we like to pocket watch on this episode. So Zach Seiler, defensive tackle for the Dolphins, got a 3-year, $68 million extension for $44 million guaranteed, which is absolutely crazy because I just didn't know he was that good of a player, but I guess he is. So that happened this week. But what we're really going to talk about, we're going to dive into are these trade talks. There's two different versions, the Terry McLaurin saga and the Micah Parsons saga. So let's first talk about the Terry McLaurin. You know, he's been a loyal Commander / Washington football player / Redskin his entire career. And you think that they would pay the guy after they finally get a quarterback, but sometimes it seems like these franchises just keep shooting themselves in the foot. What do you boys think?
I don't know. I understand from both sides, and it really, the conversation really opened up when Cortland Sutton finally got paid, right? Same player, essentially.
Same age.
Same team, yeah. So, I mean, he stayed loyal with Denver through the ups and the downs. Obviously, they're trending upward with Bo Nix. The offense looks good. The defense we know is really good. They should have a great year this year, but with players like that you figure, okay, I'm going to go through years and years of turmoil, quarterback turnover. We don't know what's happening to. Now we finally have something going. Now it's time for me to get paid. So we know that Cortland Sutton last week, I think we talked about it. He finally got paid, which is great. The guy's very slept on. So fantasy-wise, you might be able to snag him in the later drafts, especially if it's a keeper league. If you give up a 12th, 13th round pick and you can snag him, fantastic. I mean, nobody really drafted him that high last few years. So big physical body, has got great speed, great hands. So someone kind of keep on your radar as we approach a lot of those redraft keeper league dynasty type things. But in other terms, right? Yes, I totally agree that Terry McLaurin has stayed loyal with the Commanders. Okay, they've gone through what I thought, a really bad stretch of we don't know who the quarterback is. They were good. Their running backs, Brian Robinson gets shot. Then he's, stat wise, doesn't seem to be doing as much as they drafted him. They had Antonio Gibson, who's supposed to be that lead back. Right, and it just didn't pan out. So they had a lot of not pan outs, and then all of a sudden they get Jaden Daniels, and then they flipped that dynasty essentially 180. Had an incredible year last year. I understand why Terry is arguing why he should get paid. Okay. On the other side, he is seeking a long-term deal for a good amount of money on a receiver who is, yes, he was sixth last year in receiving. Again, a lot of that comes from Jaden stuff, but he is also getting older. So it's one of those things where, yeah, you could pay him 4 or 5 years, front load the contract for however $125 million. But then you got to realize that after these next 2-3 years, that productivity is probably going to go down. So then you got to start looking for his replacement. Is it wasted money, or are you doing a genuine thing because he stayed loyal for so long that now we're not paying him? I don't know. I understand from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense. Okay, we saw the same thing with the Eagles with Jason Peters, long time guard for us, incredible guy, very very good, but he wanted a big fat contract, and Roseman and the Eagles realized, you know what, you're getting older. We've seen your productivity, over the years have gone down. We can't afford to pay you your $20 million a year that you want. Feel free to explore elsewhere. He did. yada yada yada. But I don't know. I hope they work out some type of deal where maybe it's the 3 or 4 years, but not the 100 million. Maybe 85, maybe on that cusp of 100. That way, you still get good productivity, front load the contract where the majority of the money's there, or it's mostly guaranteed, where you still get the productivity, but then realize in 3 4 years it could go down. Then you got to start looking for that replacement. Then you got to worry about paying Jaden and all these other young covers that are on the team. Your defense is still pretty good, even though you got rid of some older D linemen that we talked about last week. But still, the opportunity is there. So I don't know. I see both sides of it, business standpoint wise, and why he would want to get his payment. But really, this all sparked as soon as Cortland Sutton, virtually the same player on the same team, gets his money, and now he's like, all right, what about me? And of course, I'm sure he's pissed, and then he's like, all right, well, I want to be traded. Can they get a lot for him? Absolutely. I mean, if he, we said it last time, in Kansas City's just throwing money at these random players. Hopefully, one will stick. Terry McLaurin would be that player to not only stretch the field, but is very good possession wise too. That would give Patty Mahomes also, assuming that since Jordan Addison just got a 3 game suspension, that Rice, his suspension is most likely going to be, what, 6 to 10 games, maybe, depending on his issues. So they're going to need that other offensive threat, especially if those older guys and kind of washed up guys don't really pan out. So, Zoltaski, what's your thoughts on it? I mean, it's an interesting thing, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense again for me too on both sides there. Whereas Terry's really their only receiver. I mean, they've got Zach Ertz there at tight end, but I mean, they're throwing to him.
Got Debo.
Okay, yeah. Well, last year they didn't have Debo.
True.
So, he had 13 touchdowns last year, second in the league, because, Jade's run the ball, dump off to Zach Ertz there, or throw it deep to Scary Terry because he'll catch the ball. So I can understand where he wants to get paid. It just confuses me as to right now when you kind of seems like they probably have that most availability because Jaden's still going to he's got 3 years left on his rookie contract before he's got to get paid.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple other guys that they have on the payroll are probably going to age out. I mean, he's, like you said, he's been loyal. I get it, like you said, from the business perspective. At the same time, I think you should reward that loyalty. He plays his heart and soul out there, even when they had no idea who was throwing him the ball.
Well, also keep in mind too, right? Because assuming that when Brian Robinson's contract comes up, he's not gonna get the 25, the 18 million that he probably is gonna want.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really utilize him that much. Like you said, with Jaden being able to run it so well, all you need is just a filler back to help, those off times to keep, give Jaden a break where he's not going to get tackled by 12 like full size grown men. So
yeah, they want to go for like a Derrick Henry Lamar situation because we talked about that a lot last year, where they don't know those option plays work well because either way they're most of the time gaining some yardage and they don't know who's going to keep it or who's going to hand it off to. If that coverage breaks down and they all crash to the right because they see Derrick Henry going to the right, Lamar's going to keep that and run off, score a touchdown. So
a couple
that's what they're going to go for.
100%. A couple players to note that do offer that big physicality that they could pick up is a Gus Edwards. He's still out there, right? Young-ish, has a couple years left in the tank, but he's also 6'2", 210. Okay, then you got that other Haskins running back who was supposed to be the next big thing as well. I feel like we say this about every player coming to the NFL, but
Hassan Haskins from Michigan.
Yes, he never really panned out or had the opportunity to pan out. So if they needed filler backs to be that big physical wear down the D line, so it opens up the avenue for Jaden Daniels to scramble a little bit more without being touched, those are options. Because right now, I like Brian Robinson. He gets his carries, he does the work. He's not a great pass catching back, and if we look in the nitty gritty of the stats, he's only averaging like 3.5 yards a carry. In the NFL, that is not that good, especially for someone that's approaching that contract as well. So I don't know. To your point, throwing the money. I think the fans would want to see the loyalty. They want to keep that jersey, keep wearing it every year, and not look to someone else. They also did get rid of their first round pick, Jahan Dotson. That didn't work out, so that cuts out another, and that happened last year. But that's a first round pick they thought would pan out. Never really got the opportunity. I don't know. It's Debo there will help a little bit, but if they're willing to let him go, then Debo becomes the number one, and we already know that it's a make or break thing for him that he has to prove it. But he's also older as well, so I mean,
they put themselves in a pickle by not paying him.
Yeah, now you're losing weapons for him, and now it's a Josh Allen concept where it's got to be Jaden. It's like RG3 back in the day, right? It was all RG3. There was not that many players to help RG3, and we all know what happened with that. Yep. So it's something to monitor over the next few weeks. I don't think they'll trade him. I think they'll figure something out, but it wouldn't surprise me if he goes, yeah, I'm just going to not play until you guys pay me. Because we see that more and more every year. Players are like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and sit out until you pay me. $50,000? That's okay. I don't mind taking it.
Jamar was sick last year.
Sick. I mean, he took his own insurance policy out on him. So, I mean, like, he did the smart things. But again, for an organization, then you're like, yeah, my star wide receiver is going to sit out for however long until he gets paid. Jaden doesn't have any control of that. So it's really the front office and what they want to do, and it's a shitty circumstance. But I think he'll get his money. I just don't think it'll be the money that he is wanting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Hassan Haskins, actually. We were talking about it. I think I texted you guys on Thursday. I watched the Hall of Fame game. He was out there for the Chargers. Yeah. He does run the ball hard. I think you're exactly right. He would fit in there very well. He was lowering the shoulder, and you were hearing it crack.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you need is a big physical body to wear down the D-line. That's it.
Speaking of D-line, another big trade.
And you got to be excited about this one. Yeah. Well, you got to be excited about both of these, technically.
Yeah, look, Scary Terry wasn't that big of a problem when we played him. Cooper Jean kind of locked him in, and then Quintana Bay did work as well. So, would I not like to play him twice a year? Absolutely. I would love to not play him and have some other scrub in there. But a thing that kind of brightens my day just a little bit more. We already know, we talk about the Cowboys every week, it seems like, because it's always something that is happening. And for the negative side, Jerry Jones is coming out and he's getting a little bit more ballsier. We're in the two frame, right? But he's getting a little bit more ballsier and is essentially talking shit about his players. Dak being included, which is his, his goodnight kiss, reads him a bedtime story when he tucks him in. But now essentially calling out Micah Parsons for missing time last year, saying that we've had players before who have wanted this money. They requested a trade, and guess what? We're not trading him. I don't think he'll get traded. I think he's too good, too young on a defense that needs a D-line. But obviously, the clubhouse-wise, it's not good. Especially now that when we know Jerry is very, I'm going to go hang out in the locker room. He's not the traditional owner who sits in the box, shows face when he needs to. He has no problem going down the locker room, bullshitting around with the guys, being buddy-buddy, but now it's going to be him walking out of the locker room, and half the people hate him, and half the people are like, just die already, sell the team. We know that Parsons constantly has eagles in his mouth. He's from the area. He went to Penn State. So it's like, I don't know. Will we take him? Yeah, we'll give you a 6th-round pick. How about that, you jackass? But I don't think he'll get traded. But we know that he's going to cost a pretty price tag. He puts up numbers. He does very, very well. But I feel like it's one of those players where if he gets paid, that productivity either stays the same or goes down. Because now he has $80 million guaranteed. Now he doesn't have to try as hard. So it's just, again, something to monitor. I don't think he'll get traded. If he does, I could see the Chiefs or someone who has a lot of money, like the Patriots, to swoop in and snag him and pick him up. And then, because especially with Milton Williams not really panning out as well for the Patriots, that kind of beef up that D line as well. But then there's no one else to substitute for Dallas on the defensive end. So could be a big problem for them. We'll monitor it, but, I'm sure next week Jerry Jones will talk shit about CD and George Pickens and the whole team will disband, which honestly can't wait for that. So
any team would get instantly better from Micah Parsons. Now,
yes,
he did put out a statement on August 1st, and I just want to read a small part of it. So, and this is from Micah Parsons' Twitter account. It says, "Unfortunately, I no longer want to be here. I no longer want to be held to closed-door negotiations without my agent present. I no longer want shots taken at me for getting injured while laying it on the line for the organization, our fans, and my teammates. I no longer want narratives created and spread to the media about me." So that's kind of what you're talking about. I mean, Jerry Jones has been... It seems like it's been getting worse with his age. But man, it's rough for Cowboys fans. I mean, there's a streamer we all like. His name's Tim the Tat Man.
I was about to ask you watched Tim. How's he doing?
I wanted to share a couple of his Twitter replies here. So this is Ninja saying, "Timmy, how you feeling?" And it's Luka Doncic and Micah Parsons holding up their jerseys. This was last year, I believe, that they took that picture. And then this is Micah Parsons' actual tweet. And then Tim responding with this photo of himself. Just, he's been on a tear these last couple days, old Timmy. So it's been very funny to watch his reaction because if you know Tim the Tatman, he personifies Dallas fans. Like, it's always their year. Here we go. Like, we're going to do it this year. But, man, I can't think of a worse situation to be in. I mean, I was just in that situation with Garrett. It's like Garrett wanted out or he wanted paid. Thank God they paid him, kept him there. Cause
I think he wanted out and he said no amount of money. And then they paid him. So he said, I changed my mind.
Either way, he wanted a championship, and I guess the money's all right.
Either way, he's there now, so it's all good.
Which I got an interesting thing. So between those two, right? Two very big names, same division, big possible things for either team, right? Future wise, right? Which one do you think is more detrimental? If who's the biggest loser between those two teams?
Between Dallas and Cleveland?
No, I'm done talking
Dallas
about Cleveland.
Dallas
and Washington.
Dallas easily.
You think?
No disrespect to Terry McLaurin, but yes, Dallas easily. I mean, Terry McLaurin, like you said, he was 6th in receiving last year. He's had up and down years. Parsons has been, every time he's on the field, he is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, he was an early pick. I don't exactly know what. I know it was first round. I don't know what pick he was taken, but he's one of the dudes in the NFL. When you talk about pass rusher, there's 4 that automatically come to mind. It's Parsons, it's Watt, it's Max Crosby, and it's Myles Garrett. And that's for this era.
Hutchinson?
Not yet, dude. I mean, yeah, he's good, but
he's injured still, right?
Yeah, no, he's not.
Let him play a full season first.
12th. He was picked 12th overall, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see them trading him in division. So, Fish, I'm sorry. I don't think he's going to be an Eagle.
Please come to Detroit. Please.
Nobody thought that we fleeced the shit out of.
Holy hell.
Look,
you guys are still paying Deshaun. You ain't got the money for that.
We will trade. I'm speaking on behalf of the Browns organization. Dallas, Jerry, if you're listening, we will give you Deshaun for Micah Parsons straight up. Just letting you know.
Why? But Dak is so close to being competitive with Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts.
It's closer than you think.
It's closer than what you think.
Deshaun's going to fit in with Jerry very well down there.
In the glory holes.
Yep. There you go.
I didn't say it. That was not me.
Oh, but man, it's been a wild week for trade talks in the AF or the NFC East. Wild week for that. But Zoltowski, you had some interesting things to talk about in here as well.
Yeah,
correct?
so 2 things that popped up just a couple hours before we record this, actually. So ESPN bought the NFL Network, like the entire NFL Network, that whole company that's there. So they own Red Zone now, which gives them a 10% share of the NFL, which is, I've always thought that's weird because, Monday Night Football is on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it the media? How's the media rights going to work out now? Because it's that and other media assets. So that might be interesting. Might see more games on ESPN, hopefully. And then Jordan Addison, Fish mentioned it earlier, suspended the first 3 games due to violating the substance abuse policy because he got a DUI last year that he pled guilty to.
Yeah.
So, it shouldn't really affect Washington too terribly much. They still have Jay Jettas there. So, but I have seen a little bit of talks.
Is Minnesota?
But yeah, I'm so sorry. I was just on a roll.
It doesn't affect him at all.
No, yeah, you're right. It's Minnesota. So, we talk about Rashee Rice last week with his possible suspension coming up. People are thinking that it's probably going to be 3 games now because similar style charge, DUI, reckless driving. I just don't know if the potential like jail time and probation that he's on might make it longer.
Is he going to jail for that?
He's got to spend 30 days within the 5 years of his probation.
Yeah,
yes.
Within 5 years.
Wait,
within 5 years.
Are you talking about? I'm so sorry. Are you talking about Jordan Addison or Rashee Rice?
No, Rashee Rice.
Okay.
I was talking about people seeing the Jordan Addison suspension are linking it to, this is how long Rashee's is going to be. But then you have to kind of look at what they did. Yeah, I get they're similar.
Yeah.
But the punishments, like I think Jordan Addison just has to pay a fine and do some community service or something. But like Rashee Rice has 5 years probation, mandatory 30 days in jail.
Honestly, I mean, Rashee Rice should have a few games cut short because he did receive a pretty big punishment during the season when Miss Patty demolished his ACL. So, kind of really screwed my fantasy team over.
Go for like a time serve thing, are you?
Goddamn Muppet. It's unbelievable, that guy.
He never loses.
Kermit himself.
Never lose.
And just going back to what you said about ESPN buying NFL Network, they better not replace Scott Hansen.
God, I hope not. I think the internet would revolt and Red Zone would never be watched again.
Is that Chris's brother?
Are they related?
Take a seat.
I don't know.
No, but maybe Scott comes with that purchase because I'm pretty sure he's an android.
Oh, hang on, I got it 1 hour ago.
That just doesn't go to the bathroom.
It's
for
official.
8 hours.
Yeah, he's still there. Don't worry.
Good.
Don't worry, he's still there.
Oof. And hopefully nobody joins him either. All right, but we're gonna get into our AFC South preview. I am proud to say there's no typos in this one. All the teams are right. All the colors are correct.
You ChatGPT it?
God, I hope that I'm not wrong here, but we're going to get over to the AFC South preview. This is the Indianapolis Colts, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why does that look like that? There we go.
You broke
the
it.
Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans. So as you can see last year, not a very winning division. The top team was 10-7. It was the Houston Texans. They went 5-1 in the division. Colts were the next team at 8-9, then Jacksonville, and then Tennessee at 4-13 and 3-14 respectively. Little fun fact: Houston's only loss in the division came at the expense of the Titans. So I don't know why I put that in there. I just thought it was neat. Kind of maybe shows how close that division truly is. Maybe if CJ Stroud doesn't have a bad year, they run more further away from it. But what we're going to do next is we're going to talk about the Houston Texans offseason acquisitions. And this slide's going to make me sad because I have put a very happy, smiling Nick Chubb on the slide. But as you can see, a lot of moves being made, a lot of trades being done. So most of their acquisitions of note, except for Nick Chubb, have been due to a trade. They're taking on a lot of cap from Christian Kirk and CJ Gardner-Johnson. Both of those trades, they only gave up a 7th-round pick and a 5th-round pick for 2026, but they got a 6th-round pick back from the Eagles as well. So a lot of cap dumping with those two trades. I mean, Christian Kirk's like his entire contract just baffles me. 4 years, $72 million with 37 guaranteed. I mean, that's the kind of deal that Terry McLaurin should be getting when you look at those numbers, because Christian Kirk has not done much in the NFL at all. But they did bring back some defensive studs. They brought back Mario Edwards. He is getting up there in age. Danielle Hunter, they brought him back for a 1 year, $35.6 million deal, $48 million guaranteed. It's mostly a signing bonus for the guaranteed money there. Derek Stingley Jr., their really good young corner, they brought him back 3 years, $90 million, $89 million guaranteed. And they brought back safety/corner Jalen Petrie, 3 year, $39 million deal. So you look at the guys they lost. They lost Case Keenum. They lost Stephon Diggs. Some older guards, or an older guard and tackle, Laramie Tunsil and Shaq Mason. So they really just got rid of older players, it seems like. They just didn't bring back Devin White, Shaq Mason. Jerry Hughes is up there as well. So, boys, with this information, it seems like they're trying to get these players before they have to pay CJ Stroud to hopefully go on a run. I don't think that this is going to be the team that they hope it's going to be. But what are your thoughts on these acquisitions and re-signings?
I think they'll be fine. Obviously, with Joe Mixon, he's on the pup, I think. So his week 1, week 2 start is a little uncertain. We know that Nick Chubb's going to fill in. They actually just pulled who is the other running back?
Dameon Pierce.
Yes, they just pulled him off the pup, so he should slide in that number 2 spot. Christian Kirk, we said it's just wide receiver death. He's not going to be a W2. We know with Tank Dell there that at any moment both his knees could explode and he'll be out again. Christian Kirk isn't an awful receiver, but is nowhere near the Nico Collins, but could be a good little supporting cast member to the Nico Collins. CJ Stroud did have a down year last year. They looked a little off, but then at the same time, him and Nico had incredible chemistry. They fed Joe Mixon the ball, and we've said this before. You got to feed your best players. Joe Mixon looked like he was 25 again, and then towards the end of the season, they just stopped feeding him. He was only getting 13 carries for only 38 yards. A lot of it didn't make any sense towards the end of the season. But I think C.J. Garner is a hell of a safety. Expect the tweets to pop off. I think that's a big reason why, also contract-wise, that the Eagles let him go. Is because him and Slay were constantly not talking shit, but just talking too much on Twitter. They're pulling their mind away from the game. Granted, during game day, they were both on, but it's the after the game's over, during the whole week, we're talking shit about somebody, we're saying stuff that doesn't matter. So I think the additions, I think you're right. I think they're getting ready to pay Stroud. He is worth his money. He did an incredible first year. Second year is a little down. This year he should hopefully turn it around with everybody being healthy. I would say the biggest part here is still buffing that defense up, and they re-signed the right players. Stingley being one of the big guys there. Mm-hmm. Defensively, guy was an absolute ball hawk. Really couldn't throw his way without him either getting a hand on the ball or it being overthrown. Daniel Hunter, I would love a fraction of that contract. I mean, holy shit, that guy's getting paid a bunch for 1 year. Yeah. It's kind of nuts. But again, their defense wasn't really the issue last year. It was the offense and just the miscues. Somewhere towards the middle, towards the end of the season, where you're supposed to get hot, carry the momentum into the playoffs, they just didn't have it. Nick Chubb being there, he had a year off because of his injury. He should look like relatively close to old Nick Chubb. He should still be able to run the rock. I don't know about carrying it 25 times. Again, they're going to ease him into that starting role, but they have Dameon Pierce to kind of help facilitate that second spot behind him. So It's what we've seen every good team do so far. They get some guys, they re-sign the players that they need to, and then they dump the old guys. I think this team's making the right direction. They're moving in the right direction there. Uh, but they should take the top of the table. I don't think there's any other competition in this division at all, really.
Yeah, the NFC and AFC South are both extremely similar. You have one or two teams that are halfway decent, and the other two are just complete and total garbage. I think you hit all the nails on the head there, Fish. I think the one other thing too is they got to stay healthy. Nico got hurt a few times last year, like you said. Tank Dell, he missed like the rest of the season. When they had Diggs, he was out early. And I don't think they had any replacements. So I think that Christian Kirk pickup is just, trying to fill holes so they have somebody to throw to in case their guys go down. CJ should bounce back out of it. He had a really good rookie year, and sophomore slump happens. He'll probably come out, fix it, and look better next year. I mean, they won their playoff game, correct? And lost.
Yes, they beat the Chargers.
The divisional. Oh, yeah, that was the 4 interception Herbert game.
Yes.
After throwing 3 all year. Yeah. So
Correct.
look at them, take the division. So easy said and done. Put your futures on it. The betting's back.
The betting is back. It never went anywhere. I agree with you guys. I think that they're going to be division champions. The interesting thing you guys were talking about is all the receiver changes from last year. Like when they signed Stephon Diggs, everybody was like, "Oh man, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell. It's going to be a crazy receiving core." Well, Stephon is gone. Tank is still out for who knows how long. But they did draft those 2 kids from Iowa State in rounds 2 and 4. They have Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel from Iowa State. So, I mean, you could see one of those 2 play. Jaden Higgins is listed as wide receiver 2 right now with Christian Kirk as the wide receiver 3 slot guy. So, it'll be interesting, at least at the beginning of the season, to see their impact.
Yeah.
They're going to force feed Nico Collins, that's for sure.
They will. And you'll probably see an uptick for Dalton Schultz as well.
Mm-hmm.
But here's their performance from last year. Like Fish said, I'm really glad that they reinvested into that defense. They brought back some really important pieces because defensively they were really outstanding last year.
Very good.
The biggest thing to me that for offense, it's not necessarily the position categories. I understand like none of those are great numbers by any means, but we kind of already explained that. They had a down year with injuries a lot, especially at the receiver position. The one that's really showing its ugly head to me is that red zone percentage when they were in the red zone, 48%. Mm-hmm. So less than half the times that they went to the red zone, they were either kicking a field goal or just coming up empty. So it's really tough to win in the NFL doing that, and they still finished the year 10-7. I think
it's one of the, it's one of the lower ones we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think when I was doing this, they were 5th least, so like 28th or something like that. But I should probably start putting that as a ranking on here too. You see how often they called pass plays last year when they really didn't know who was going to catch the ball because of the injuries. But I figured that their run plays would be a little bit more just because of Joe Mixon, how good he was last year.
I would figure too, which is very surprising.
Yeah, so I think if I'm a Texans fan, I'm excited for next year. Hopefully CJ has a bounce back. Hopefully one of these 2 young receivers pan out. Christian Kirk plays well. Nico Collins plays like he always does, and then Tank Dell comes back. And I think you guys have a really solid squad with a really good running back. So I will miss you, Nick Chubb. But next, we're going to go on to the Indianapolis Colts, and I put your guys' boy on the slide, Danny Dimes.
Danny Dimes.
He's coming back. He's not ass.
No, he's not.
Signed a 1-year, $14 million deal, $13.1 million guaranteed. Pretty low for a quarterback, I would say, especially in today's market. They did sign a couple DBs for a very large amount of money. It seems like over the years they've really relied on Kenny Moore to be the leading defensive back there. He's a corner. Also a very small guy. But anyways, he's very good at defending. And then you see that they drafted Tyler Warren round 1, pick 14. He's got a fully guaranteed deal of $20 million over 4 years. They did bring back Mo Alley Cox and also Ashton Dillon. So getting Daniel Jones / AR-15 / Riley Leonard, their receiving core still. What do you boys think about these acquisitions going forward here?
So I really like the Tyler Warren draft pick, especially with Anthony Richardson. He's probably going to be their starter as long as he can hit over 50% of his targets in practice.
Yeah, with nobody guarding him or nobody coming at him.
That's what I'm saying.
Just
he's got to hit at least. Yep, he's going to hit at least 50. But he is also a mobile quarterback. So, and Tyler Warren lined up kind of everywhere when he was at Penn State. He was really fun to watch. Threw a touchdown pass or snapped the ball and caught a touchdown pass against USC. The Wildcat there would be very interesting. With Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren, and Anthony Richardson back there, and you don't know what's going to happen. So it should be fun to watch. They've got 3 quarterbacks. Riley Leonard looked decent in college, made it all the way to the championship at the end there with Notre Dame. One of them's got to be able to do something, right? It's got to happen.
Yeah, to your point, though, right? Like, nobody knows. Like, they got Daniel Jones, who is a mobile quarter. He can move. Mm-hmm. He's very quick for who he is, right? When he has, I don't know what's going on that, but whoa. But I mean, when he has time, he's shown that he could be accurate. He could run. Then you got Richardson, who we know can run, right? And now you got Tyler Warren. So, Tess, you bring up something interesting. Nobody knows what they could do, right? Who's going to get the ball, who's going to run it, who's going to throw it. The problem is, I don't think the Colts know what they're going to do either. I think it's, go ahead, Richardson, go ahead and run it. Okay, shit, that didn't work. Daniel, go ahead and run it. Shit, that didn't work. Tyler Warren, throw it. Damn, that didn't work. And then I think kind of what we saw last year and the year before, they forget that they have Jonathan Taylor, and he's only going to get his 15 carries towards the back half of the game when they're down by 34. None of these acquisitions here really turn me on at all. The Tyler Warren, I think, definitely opens up a lot more opportunities for them to do fancy, cool shit. But at the same time, you can only do fancy and cool shit when you have a really good, solidified team like the Lions, right? Or the Eagles. I wish they wouldn't do it, but
God, you see, like Eagles hook and ladder.
But I mean, you see a lot of these teams that are like, "Oh yeah, let's do the stumble play," or "Let's do a flea flicker because that's cool." Sometimes some of these teams need to get back to the basics and understand. Okay, we don't need to outsmart everyone or try and be the cutest person in the room to make a play successful, right? You run the rock of Jonathan Taylor. You've got options now at quarterback. Daniel Jones can throw it. He can run it. Richardson, if he can throw it accurately, he's a damn good threat on the ground. Now you got Tyler Warren, who can play tight end, quarterback, run it. We've seen him do crazy shit in college. You open up all these avenues, but then I think they forget to get back down to the fundamentals of you don't need to do a fancy trick play to pick up 3 yards or run the risk of throwing an interception or fumbling it. Just get back to your roots, and then you can do the trick stuff and have fun. I think one of the biggest things here that's a little glaring, Nut, you played with them, we talked about it before, them losing Ryan Kelly at center is a big deal. I mean, he was that offensive line. He was the main guy there. He did incredible things there while he was there for so many years. It just seems like, they bolstered up the defense a little bit. They overpaid Ward. They got a couple quarterbacks, got a tight end. They lost 3 guards on a team that we know their offensive line was not the greatest last year. We saw Jonathan Taylor hit in the backfield quite often. Same thing with Richardson and stuff like that. Also, it's a little different when people know that your quarterback can't throw, so you just stack the box and have no one back there because you can't throw it. So I think you're wrong. I think Daniel Jones starts. Okay. I think they put it in his hands going, okay, You're the better passer. We know you can run. Prove it. We're paying you $14 million. They're not paying Richardson that much. Prove it, and then we'll figure it out if you can't do it. So I don't know.
Yep. They do have Richardson starting the preseason game too, so that does allude more to your point. They want to, or they're going to try it out for sure in the preseason here. So
100%.
I'm going to probably watch and see.
And it's going to be one of the situations where it's going to be like a Bryce Young, Andy Dalton. You start this week. Okay. Daniel, you start next week. Tyler Warren, you start the following week. It's going to be a shit show. But, I mean, they got to feed Taylor, and that's it. I would not trust any receiver on this team. Alec Pierce, maybe, for like a flex. Like, I have no one else to play. Pittman, his stock has gone way down. Unless somehow Jones and that offensive line can turn around. That guy is... honestly, look for him being trade bait mid-season for the Colts to try and accumulate some picks or something, try and get a little bit of draft capital back for building the future and drafting their number one quarterback next year or the year after. So, just saying, because I think they give up on Richardson and they try and trade pieces away.
Yeah, I want to bring up what you said about Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, and even to a lesser degree, Mark Lewinsky. He was older at the end of his career, obviously. He's not been signed anywhere. But they had one of the best interior offensive lines in terms of talent. So what you're saying about the teams are able to stack the box, that's why they're able to get to JT so quick. That's obviously what's going on. I mean, Ryan Kelly's been a stud his entire career. Will Fries was a stud last year. And then they've got Quentin Nelson as the left guard. He's an animal. Yeah. And the right tackle, Braden Smith, he's also very good. So you're right, dude. They need to find a way to throw the ball, and they need to figure out who it's going to be. They've had this issue, and I was looking this up while you were talking, since Andrew Luck's last year. Here's their starting quarterback since then. Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan / Nick Foles, Gardner Minshew / Anthony Richardson / Joe Flacco. And now it's going to be Daniel Jones / Anthony Richardson more than likely. So I don't know. Do you see this team trying to tank for Arch Manning, get another Manning back in Indianapolis?
But that's a great point, though. You tank, but then you got to realize that JT is not 23 anymore. He's 26, I believe. So his shelf life of carrying it 300 times a year is almost at the end of its cusp there. So, yeah, maybe you tank, but then you only have 1 or 2 years really of full productivity with JT. And then that's it. Well, then what do? Right now, if this team, excuse me, get a little choked up here. If Daniel Jones doesn't pan out the way you want it to be, or Anthony Richardson, it turns out to be a dud, you trade everyone away and you get draft capital for the next 3-4 years. You draft your Arch Manning, you get some jackass in there, a Daniel Jones, let him play for the entire year, let Arch sit, watch, and then you restart. You restart that rebuild method now, get rid of everybody, fans will hate it. It is what it is. So, excuse me. This team's awful. I hate looking at this team. Unfortunately, they'll probably finish second in this division.
More than likely. Unless the next team we talk about kind of pulls it out this year. But look at their performance from last year. Defensively, awful. Horrible defensive statistics. I mean, the highest one being 24th place with 427 points allowed. Also, the rushing yardage there, too. But you look at the offense, it was pretty good last year, except for the passing yards per game. So if you come and if they throw 700 more passing yards, do they have 3-4 more wins next year? I don't know how that translates, but you do see that their run pass ratio was very even last year. That's because they didn't have a quarterback that could throw for half the year, and he can run very well. I'd like to know how many of those, and I think we talked about this last time, I'd like to know how many of those would be design runs versus Anthony just scrambling out. And
Yep.
saying, heck it, I can't get the ball down there to Michael Pittman or Alec Pierce or Josh Downs. So
I don't think it's going to be on target, so I ain't throwing it.
right. This is either a pick or I'm getting 3 yards rushing. This is about what I expected before I started making this slideshow about how their offensive performance would be, because we've seen great things from Jonathan Taylor. We've seen great things from the Colts running the ball without Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you think that those couple of games of Zach Moss, was that last year or the year before? Either way, he played really well. This speaks to that offensive line that I was talking about, that rushing attack. So I fear for Colts fans, because I think that the offensive production, at least on the ground, is going to go down even further next year without Will Fries, without Ryan Kelly, because JT can run it up the gut and then bounce it outside. You're not going to get that push this year. You're not going to get those guys to double team, get to the second level, follow the asses, as we like to say. So it's going to be tough sledding for the Colts, if not this upcoming year, the next year as well, until they get AR out of there. I think that they need to be done with him. They've given him two seasons where they benched him both times. So I don't know. I mean, what are your guys' take on these statistics here?
I mean, we know defensively they were just ass. Like you said, them losing 3 offensive studs on that line is going to be a problem. Unfortunately, that rush productivity, they're not going to be 8th next year. They'll probably be around 15th. Jonathan Taylor can only do so much. We saw the same thing with Saquon and the Giants. They didn't have a quarterback they could throw. Teams realized that, so they stacked the box. You could be Jesus down there. It doesn't matter when you have 8 guys, 12 guys down there on that line. They're plugging up every hole. I mean, these are 6'2" to 6'8", 250 to 375 linemen. It doesn't matter how much agility and speed you have or strength. You're not going to get past 1. We know that an arm tackle from them stops players from running. It's big physical guys. And that split half second will give everyone else to then jump on him. Unfortunately, Jonathan Taylor's production probably will go down, because I think teams will realize, yeah, Daniel Jones is just not it. Richardson still has his T-shirt on, so we don't have to worry about him. It's just not good. I think a lot of the yards and the points came from JT and their ability to run, and then the weird 3 for 14 passing from Richardson, but it was all to Alec Pierce and nothing less than 65 yards.
Yeah, it was all bombs.
So the defense, what's kind of interesting is that the Colts converted 54% of the red zone attempts. That's still better than the Texans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also you figure that the run plays would be called a little bit higher. Could have been game scripted because they were down most of the time, but I don't know. It's that defense is alarming. I know that they tried to fix it, but 3 players isn't going to do it, and it's really not.
Yeah. Well, I think the defensive categories, and I think it is a reflection on how bad the defense was, but it's also the offense. Like the Colts' time of possession last year was 3rd worst in the league at 27 minutes, 44 seconds. So the offense is not on the field for the over half that you want them to be. The most successful team was Philadelphia at 32 minutes, 21 seconds, followed by Detroit. Congratulations, boys. At 31 minutes, 46 seconds. So I'm not sure how important those couple minutes are, but I mean, this guy's getting fatigued out there when they just have to be running on defense all the time, because the offense can't convert a first down or can't keep moving the ball. So
yeah, it'd be interesting to see their first down percentage, or 3rd and 4th down percentages, to see how often they converted, because the biggest question is the quarterback situation here. If someone works out, then I think obviously your numbers go up other than your rush yards. That might actually stay the same if somehow, some miracle, Daniel Jones looks great, or Anthony Richardson can finally throw the ball where it's supposed to be. Then they might actually, be able to give the ball to Jonathan Taylor and him do what he is able to do, because the box isn't loaded every single play, because it's just going to be a deep bomb jump ball every play, because that's what Anthony Richardson throws.
Yeah, and to answer your question,
that's the biggest thing.
They converted 37.9% of their third down plays to first downs last year.
That's killer for a defense, because they're not getting the rest that they need at all. They're spending way too much time out there, and again, the offense works, and you see the defense go up because those guys are actually getting a chance to catch their breath and not be out there for more than half the game. So
I'm sure a lot of those are 3 and outs too. So
I know why they're paying Ward so much, because he's got to play triple the amount of time of anyone in that offense.
Yep.
But next we're going to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this is the guy I wanted to talk about when you guys were talking about Scary Terry. De'Ami Brown was that other receiver there last year who played really, really well down the stretch. Now, if you look at his stats up on ESPN, he only had 30 catches on the year, but they came at very important times. So he is now in Jacksonville. He's going to be making $9.5 million guaranteed on a 1-year deal. A lot of receivers left Jacksonville last year, so Gabe Davis is no longer there. Christian Kirk's no longer there. I assume that you're going to get a lot of BTJ. You're going to get a lot of De'Ami Brown, and you're going to see a lot of Travis Hunter. So Travis Hunter is the guy that they drafted pick 2, round 1 overall. He's making $46.7 million fully guaranteed on that rookie deal. They did make a couple other moves. They signed Eric Murray, safety, signed Robert Hainsey, a center. So I think that they lost a lot more than they gained, even with drafting Travis Hunter. Evan Ingram's going to be a huge loss for them. Mitch Morse, he was a great center back in the day. Ronald Darby, he was a really good corner for a while. And then Andre Sisco is a big loss for them as well. Ronald Darby, when I was looking him up, I found it funny that he went to the Texans and then retired. So he just kind of said, never mind. I'm done with that. But this is a big year for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think, going forward, because once I show you guys the next slide, you're going to see how bad their offensive production really was. And if you're a Jacksonville fan, you should have nothing but hopes on going upwards. So,
Duval, or something, right?
They also didn't they didn't bring anyone back or restructure anyone from what I saw. So, here you go.
Oh.
I mean, overall, on both offensive and defensive categories, the highest they placed was 24th, and that was passing yards with BTJ and Trevor Lawrence / Mac Jones back there last year. They passed the ball for 58% of the time, ran the ball only 42% of the time. That was due to, the confusion between Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne, who's going to be the guy. But they did convert almost 60% of their red zone attempts. Kind of reminded me of the Raiders when we were talking about this. Maybe they just didn't get to the red zone that often because they finished 3-14. But I don't know if I'm seeing this, and I know how long Trevor Lawrence was out last year. I'm kind of excited, but at the same time, I'm not completely sold on Trevor Lawrence. I don't know how you guys feel about the kid, but he was great in college, but he hasn't really shown much in the professional realm. So what do you guys think about these numbers, and where do they go from here? Gotta go up, right?
If Trevor Lawrence stays healthy, I think they go up. I mean, he's not bad by any means. He's been in the league for 4 years. He's got over 13,000 passing yards. He's had 2 4,000-yard seasons already.
That's not horrible at all.
With average completion percentage of 63.3%, average rating of 85. So he's not the guy, but I feel like that also has to do with the weapons that the Jaguars don't have. He's got no one to throw the ball to.
Except for Brian Thomas.
One person. So double cover him and it's fine. I think that's their biggest issue, and they didn't do anything to really address that. I mean, Travis Hunter's great, but if he wants to play both sides of the ball, it's I don't know. I didn't play D1 college football. I didn't play in the NFL, but something tells me that it's a lot more physically and mentally draining in the pros than it is in college, especially when you're playing at a school like Colorado, who's not playing these massive teams every year, or you think like the Big Ten or the SEC. Yeah, it's the Big 12. I think Colorado's in.
Yeah,
So
I don't think he's going to play both sides.
No, I know Primetime did it, and he only did it for like 8 or 9 games. Like he didn't do it constantly. It maybe, and I think we talked about this when he got drafted. Maybe he's a backup flex guy. Like, hey, our 2 corners just went down. We got to have someone who kind of knows what they're doing to put in there, so we're not getting blown out by 90 instead of just 40. Possibly, I think he sticks as a receiver to give Trevor Lawrence the help that he needs, and that's going to be the best move for them.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it could go either way. Based on these numbers here, I mean, you might as well try and clone him and see if he can just play every position.
Yeah.
Something to kind of keep in mind here, though. You guys remember the two-headed monster? Who is it? Etienne and Bigsby. How 2 years ago, Etienne. I remember Etienne. We used to chant his name because he would just break tackles, run far, score. And then last year it was dog shit.
Yeah, very bad.
It looked like he had a Trent Richardson relapse of like, is that a hole? I'm gonna go the other way kind of thing. It looked like when Tank played, when he got his full workload in, he looked decent, right? Pass catching, was big physical back, lower shoulder. Uh, this could be a different team if they actually established a run game like they did 2 years ago. Like Zoltowski said, Trevor Lawrence, he's not the guy that's going to be multi Super Bowl. He could get you the playoffs, though. I don't know if he's going to be crazy good to take you further. We've seen flash in the pans where it's like, holy shit, who is that guy? And then we've seen the others like, oh shit, that guy who just threw his 12th pick this game. I feel like him, I think he tried to do too much with the ball. He thinks that in the moment, yeah, like now he's got Brian Thomas down there, who we saw do incredible things last year. Hopefully, he can translate that again in this year. But I think in his spot that he thinks that he could just try and force that ball when it's not needed to be forced. It's okay to take the check down or get only a couple yards running. You don't need to throw the 30-yard pass through a tight hole where only Tom Brady could throw it. It doesn't work. We saw a lot of that last year of him getting in trouble when they have a good clock management, they're working the system, they're going. Then he tries to force a ball into triple coverage, they pick it, and next you know, it's done for. We know that this defense is not that good to stop anyone, let alone a high school team. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could say it's brighter on the other side. The hill, it looks pretty, it's greener on the other side. Honestly, it would surprise me if they stayed the same, especially if they can't establish that run game with Etienne. If he can't snap it in, then you got to look for a trade piece to get rid of him and put Tank Bigsby up there and get somebody else to fill in behind him, or what? Like Zoltowski said, if they double cover Brian Thomas, he'll get his points, but nowhere close to what he did last year. And I think teams are going to realize that, especially. I mean, Brown is decent. Commanders probably should have kept him, but is he a number two? We never really saw the potential to be a number two. He had great clutch time moments, but is he going to be that guy that kind of pulls that Darius Slay to the other side? Can Darius Slay lock him down? He did last year and the year before, but I don't know. I think the productivity of this might be a Trevor Lawrence, make it, break it. We may sign you to a 2-year deal, see if you can do anything with it, but it's not going to be a super max. And Etienne, I mean, it's at that point where it's like, what are we doing, man? Like, shit or get off the pot. So these numbers are rough. I don't know. I'm not a big believer in Travis Hunter. I've seen a lot of videos of him just dancing at camp, and running a 38-step jag move. That doesn't make any sense to me. What quarterback has 15 minutes in the pocket to throw? I don't know of any. So I don't know. It's this team is one of those teams where it's like, I guess we'll figure it out. I mean, will it work? I don't know. It's just it's bad. You can say we're looking up, but
I am going to
like
defend their defense a little bit here with the same argument would you choose on the Colts. The Jaguars were dead last year in time of possession for the offense.
100%, I believe
26 minutes and 59 seconds.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's why their stats are like that. You know, we just talked about it. I'm not gonna repeat myself, but that is a good point though on Etienne there, Fish. So I looked up his stats real quick. So 2023, you're talking about rushed for over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, 267 carries. Last year, missed 2 games, but 150 carries for 558 yards with 2 touchdowns.
Like, what happened? What happened?
Fantasy managers were pissed.
Yep.
What happened?
I don't know.
That's and the year before that too, his rookie year, over 1,000-yard rushing season. You know, both years the longest, the 2,000-yard rushing seasons, 62-yard runs. Last year's longest, 22. So
yeah,
I don't know if he's just in a funk. Like I said, he was only out 2 games. I don't know when they were. If it was early, did that affect him? You know, Tank, 18 more carries, 200 more yards. The longest 65. So maybe, you know, hopefully Tank can stay like that. Etienne can fix it. You know, that helps. That helps the defense, which is huge. But then also helps Trevor Lawrence out too as well. Because they're not gonna, you know, they're either gonna have to load the box to prevent the run and open his guys up. So
yep.
They got to figure that out.
And just from ESPN, going back to Travis Hunter, he's listed as the wide receiver 2, so opposite side of Brian Thomas, and he's listed as the first backup for the left corner position. So
okay, so they are gonna
maybe he will come in and play some corner, but I don't think he's gonna start. There's no way he'll start. Both ways.
No, he's gonna be a relief guy, and that's fine. You know, hey, this guy needs a breather for 2 plays. Cool, throw Travis in there. He can do it. He knows the coverages. You know, and I get it. You know, being a wide receiver and a cornerback, you know that means you know both sides there. It can help you out, but
yeah,
weird.
Next, we're going to talk about the Titans. So the Titans had a lot of changes, a lot of acquisitions this year. They brought in Cody Barton. That's going to be really good for them. They run that base 3-4 defense, so they have 2 middle linebackers there. Xavier Woods, they brought in, safety, 2-year, $8 million deal. The one I really want to talk about other than Cam Ward is they brought in Dan Moore. He's going to be their starting left tackle this year, so they've already gotten that protection and insurance policy for Cam Ward going forward. 4-year, $82 million deal, $50 million guaranteed. I mean, he's been an absolute stud over his career.
I should have practiced more at football.
Right. And then obviously Cam Ward, round 1, pick 1, 4-year, $48.9 million deal that's fully guaranteed. He's going to be throwing the ball to Calvin Ridley. Their wide receiver 2 is Tyler Lockett, who that they just picked up. And then Van Jefferson is listed as wide receiver 3. Treylon Burks, a guy that they drafted a few years ago, he unfortunately had an injury and is now not going to be on the team anymore. Never really saw him play with a real quarterback. I would have liked to see what he could do because he had a ton of hype coming out of college. But you see there's been a couple receivers that they lost. Nick Westbrook, I can never say that second part of his last name. I apologize. He's now with the Dolphins. Mason Rudolph is gone. He's on the Steelers again. Kenneth Murray Jr., linebacker, is now with the Cowboys, and they lost Jerome Baker and Luke Gifford as well to the Browns and the 49ers. So they did bring back Sebastian Joseph Day, which is really great for them in that 3-4 scheme. He's a edge tackle, if you want to call him that. He's one of the guys that plays on, you know, the 5 technique. So he's been pretty good for them over the past year. I'm excited to see what they do going forward next year with Cam Ward. Zoltowski, you've said it best over the past couple weeks. There's been little to no hype about Cam Ward.
It's been quiet. I think the first TikTok I saw was just a few days ago. I sent it to you guys just about how his mentality. He's got a great, fantastic mentality there.
It's like Kobe
he
mentality
talked about,
almost.
Yeah, he talked about how his dad used to get up at 5:30 for a job that he hated. So if he can't get up for a job that he likes, what is he even doing? And I mean, he as a rookie, he's the first guy in there. He's the last guy out. He hasn't been talked about. They're building an offensive line to protect him. They're getting him a solid receiver. Tyler Lockett isn't horrible. He's, I think, a good person to keep on your bench in fantasy because he will get some catches there.
He's a possession guy.
He is a possession guy. Levi's jeans is on the IR, so we're not going to see him. I think this is definitely going to be an up year for these Titans here. They're making what seems like the right moves. They got their guy. They're trying to protect their guy. And, then next year, now we look at giving him more options to go with. I mean, they got Tony Pollard back there, who's, we saw him with the Cowboys. He's very mid, but mid's better than shit. So we'll take it.
He was pretty decent last year, wasn't he?
He had his moments. He's not a 3-down back. And they still have Spears there who will rotate in and out for pass catching as well. I mean, that they should do fine there. The biggest thing, Treylon Burks, keep in mind they drafted him from the Eagles, essentially. We gave him that pick for A.J. Brown. So we appreciate it. It might be one of the biggest fleeces in the NFL. But
absolutely.
We talked about their O-line. They're beefing up their O-line. I love. The other thing I actually really enjoy here is Tyler Lockett, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a sexy number 2. Let me tell you, it's not sexy. But they did draft 2 young receivers, and now they get a veteran presence receiver in that locker room who could eventually help coach and develop those young guys to then coincide with Cam Ward. I really like that pick. He'll get his touches. He'll do his thing. He's not going to be a stat whore by any means, but to help that presence in the locker room, lead that offense as hey, I'm the older guy here. I know what's going on. Let me help develop you guys, because you really don't hear anything bad about Tyler Lockett. He's really been about the team when he was with the Giants and such like that. So it's just something that I like. I like this way better than what we just saw from the Colts and the Jags. This team is trending in the right direction. I like that for them.
Yeah, they had a bunch of draft picks. Just looking it up, they drafted those 2 wide receivers you're talking about. Got an edge, picked up another safety, tight end, guard, cornerback, and then a running back, Khalil Mullings, from Michigan. He was always fun to watch. He runs the ball very hard. So they're moving in the right direction, and I think that's just good to see. Finally, some more competition than the AFC South.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their performance from last year, it's nowhere near as bad as Jacksonville's was, but it's still not great. Defensively,
wow,
they were very good against the pass. So they've got guys down there. L'Jarius Sneed, very good. Xavier Woods, he's new on the team, but Jarvis Brownlee Jr., he played well. So if they can figure out how to not let teams score next year, which you could argue they were letting teams score so that they could get Cam Ward and lock that down, but that's just the conspiracy theorist in me. This team could be decent next year. They do need to buff up that run defense. Their offense is going to take a big swing forward, I do believe, with the additions we just talked about, especially with Cam Ward, if he is as good as his mentality shows, and the Titans are hoping he's going to be. So I'm not saying they're going to win the division by any means, but they should be at least a little bit more competitive next year. And I don't remember the last time the Titans were competitive, so it's going to be exciting to see.
Been a while, but yeah, no, they'll be better to watch than last year.
You guys ready for our tier list?
Let's do it.
Flashbang, what's going on?
2021, by the way, is the last time the Titans were good. They were 12-5 as the number 1 seed in the AFC.
This is not wanting to load. There we go. Okay. So as these always start, we have the quarterback position first. And that goes to CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Cam Ward, and Daniel Dimes. So
Yep.
I think we put CJ first. That's just my opinion. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
Yeah. It's good. CJ, Lawrence,
Exactly how you just listed them
Dimes,
off, actually.
and Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward can jump to
he's-
2, but he hasn't played down the NFL.
So you're not going to be able to see this right here, but CJ first. I'm just going to zoom this out. Damn ads all the time.
I'd honestly probably take Cam over Richardson and Daniel Jones just because they're both, we've seen what they can do.
I would
or what
tend
they
to
can't do.
lean
But
that
because
way too, but
yeah, but because he hasn't played it down in the NFL, he's got to be.
yeah, we'll go there. Running back position, you have Jonathan Taylor. You have the duo of Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne. The duo of Mixon and Nick Chubb. And then you also have the duo of Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard. I think this one's obvious, so you got to go with Jonathan Taylor here first. And then I believe you got to go Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb next.
You go with the old guys.
Probably followed by flip a coin. You know,
Honestly, I'm picking Pollard.
you're picking Pollard over the other two.
Yeah,
I'll agree
Pollard
with you there.
Spears.
In terms of offensive line, I love Quentin Nelson on the Colts, but like we said, he's the only guy still there. Dan Moore's a really, really great left tackle. You've also got Kevin Zeitler there. You've got J.C. Latham there. So honestly, I think with the moves that they've done and the guys that they have, the Titans are going to take that part of that division. I accidentally just closed out of one of the depth charts, and I have to figure out which one it was. So talk amongst yourselves. I apologize.
Oh, brother.
This guy stinks.
Yeah, I think you go, Titans. I think the Jags have got to be last.
Yeah, Jags are last for
Maybe
sure.
probably Titans, Texans, Colts,
Jags.
Yeah.
Colts, Jags. I would agree with that. Now, this next one is interesting to me. I would pick Houston first, but I would say nipping at their heels very closely is going to be Jacksonville with BTJ and then Travis Hunter. So I think we do that. And then, Calvin Ridley has been a confusing player his entire NFL career. You just want the kid to be good, who was so good in college, and he had a couple good years early in his career, didn't he?
Yeah, and then he got suspended.
Then he got suspended, and then he got in trouble for gambling. Was that all the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so technically, whatever his age is, just minus a year.
Yeah.
But he's still in his prime. But he hasn't really had a quarterback throwing to him.
So what do you think here? You thinking Colts or are you thinking Titans have the better receiving core? Colts, you have Pittman, Josh Downs, and Alec Pierce, and Ashton Dolan.
I think, look, we saw it with Flacco when he was playing. Pittman's productivity went up. I think you go Colts. And then until we can see what the Titans can do with Cam Ward, I'm not crazy convinced there.
I would agree with that. Then we have tight ends. We have Dalton Schultz for the Houston Texans, Tyler Warren / Mo Alley Cox for the Colts. Some guy named Brenton Strange, just kidding, I know who that is, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's going to get the starting job there. And then Chig Okonkwo for the Titans, who showed a couple spurts here and there, but I think you got to go with you got to go with the guy that's proven himself, Dalton Schultz first.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd say you could probably put Tyler Warren next, just because these other two guys are question marks.
Yeah, you can. But now I'm thinking like the Cam Ward thing. Do we put them ahead of Richardson? Probably, yeah.
You want to move Cam Ward now?
Yeah, I mean, based on your logic, I was just saying because he hasn't played it down, but in theory,
you're still going to take him over those two.
Probably. Yeah.
Rather take the unknown than the known.
And then I would go Chig and then Brenton Strange.
Yeah, I think Chig would be. Keep an eye on him. I think he'll do great there. He, like I said, flashed in the pan last year.
Could be a sleeper.
He gets a starting role now. I mean, this could be good for him.
And then for the cornerback position, you have L'Jarius Sneed and Jarvis Brownlee for the tight ends. Or Jesus Christ, the Titans. You have Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter for the Houston Texans. Wow, there's a lot of questionable guys on the Colts defense. I just noticed that.
Oh my God, yeah.
Travarius Ward and Kenny Moore II as the left corner and nickelback, with Justin Wally as the right cornerback, and then Jerrion Jones and Tyson Campbell as the two starting corners for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm just going to go ahead and put those guys last for Jacksonville. And I honestly, between L'Jarius Sneed and Derek Stingley, I think Derek Stingley is the better player.
I agree with that.
And it's probably closer than you think, but I would say Derek Stingley is the better player there. We have L'Jarius Sneed, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the Colts third and then Jacksonville fourth. Then we have safeties, C.J. Gardner-Johnson with the I almost said with the Eagles, with the Texans. Then for the Colts, you have the grouping of Cam Bynum, who's from Minnesota, and Nick Cross. Nick Cross was pretty good last year. You have Eric Murray, the newcomer in Jacksonville, with Andrew Wingard. And then you also have Amani Hooker and Xavier Woods for the Titans. I would venture to say I would probably go with the Texans first, just because of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He is a bit of a ball hawk. I know he runs his mouth a lot, but he's very good at finding the football and creating those turnovers. God damn it, I did it again. Who's the Colts guys?
Nick Cross and Cam Bynum.
Thank you. I would venture to say next I'm going to go with Amani Hooker and Xavier Woods with the Titans. And then probably Nick Cross and Cam Bynum, and then finish with the Jacksonville Jaguars there, who were 32nd in the league at pass defense. So
weren't the Titans second?
The Titans were second, yes. Which, I mean, if you want me to switch it, I can.
I think it's more of a combination thing, but
yeah, I think you're right. Defensive line.
You got to look too. They played, when Nico and them were hurt, and then they played the Colts and the Jaguars twice. So
yeah. Defensive line, and what I mean by defensive line, I count the starting either, if they're in a 4-3 defense, I count the 4-man. If they're in a 3-4 defense, I count the first 5 guys. So with the Jacksonville Jaguars, they run a base 4-3. You've got Josh Hines-Allen there. He's a stud. You've got Eric Armstead there at D tackle. You've got Trayvon Walker there. He's also pretty good. I would venture to say that's probably either first or second in terms of defensive lines for this division here. The other one would be the Texans. You've got Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, And then you have Mario Edwards still. And then they've got a couple of guys starting over Mario Edwards, probably just because of age. But I would venture to say the Texans is probably going to be first.
Yep.
And then Josh Allen's Hines, I think that one's really, really close. For the Colts, you have Kwity Paye, Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, and Latu in a 4-3 scheme. I know Kwity Paye gets out of the quarterback. I'm pretty sure Latu is pretty good at getting to the quarterback too. But DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart, those are both seasoned veterans. So I would say you probably put them third, and then the Titans are unfortunately going to be last. Jeffrey Simmons, though, he is a stud, but I would venture to say the Titans are going to be the worst in terms of defensive fronts. Tell me if I'm wrong, boys.
I think you're accurate.
Nope, accurate.
And then we've got linebackers and head coaches next. So linebackers for the Texans, you've got Azeez Al-Shaair. He's very good. He had a couple of instances last year where I think he was doing like hip drop tackles where people got really upset at him. But nonetheless, he's still a pretty good defender. EJ Speed, he's the same linebacker there. Henry, never know how to say his last name. I think it's To'o, but he's been there for a while as well. For the Colts, you have Cameron McGrone. Zaire Franklin's very good. Segun Alubi, I don't know who he is. He must be new. Or I'm just a casual. One of the two. And then you've got Foye Olokun for the Jacksonville Jaguars with Devin Lloyd and Ventrell Miller. And then the Titans, you have Cody Barton again, Otis Reese. So I'm thinking for linebackers, I would venture to say it's going to be between the Colts and the Houston Texans. And I'm not sure who gets the nod. I think it's probably the Texans, just looking at the depth charts.
Yeah.
And then the Colts are next, and then I would probably say, you think Jacksonville?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, because of Foye. Yeah, he's really good. And then the Titans. Head coaches. I couldn't tell you who any of these head coaches are.
Yeah.
Is it Frank Reich still with the Colts?
I don't know if he is anymore. I'm looking it up. Oh, D'Amico Ryans, easily number one there.
Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans, we'll go with him. Then you've got Brian Callahan for the Tennessee Titans. You've got Shane Steichen for the Colts. And then Liam Cohen, Duval for the Jaguars. I would venture to probably put Shane Steichen second, Brian Callahan third, and then Liam Cohen fourth, just because Liam Cohen was cringe in his beginning press conference. So we'll do that there. In the comments, let us know what we got wrong. We would love to hear from you guys. So by our tier list here, it's pretty clear who's going to win the division. And it's pretty clear who's going to come in last. So we'll see how this turns out over the year. Maybe we'll do end of the year like tier list reviews, where we can see how good or how bad we did and kind of decide there. But we're going to go record the Wednesday episode or the Friday episode. Yes, the Friday episode. And then go play some games. So always say GG. Thanks for being a gent. Appreciate you guys listening and watching, and have a good time. See you.
Bye.